Good morning, my peeps. Hope all is well. We're going to go live today. We're going to be doing a mailbox design sketch. This tutorial lecture is more towards the design side. All is well. We're going to go live today. We'll turn down that audio there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a design sketch just showing some mailbox structure design on how to create realism in your rock work. This is in response to a guy named Bobby Baum on Decorative Concrete for the Future Forum. So without further ado, let's get to work. Let me share this screen here, lower that down, and let's jump into Photoshop. All right. Okay, so what we're looking at is, let me get this toolbar in my way. See if I can move it out of the way. And doesn't seem to be allowing me. So we're going to just start sketching. Hopefully all can see that. This is my first time going live on YouTube via Zoom. So kind of a bit of a test drive for me as well. So if you got a pencil and paper, track along, and yeah, let's see what we can do on this piece. Okay, so regarding some of the comments in the group, so he was asking for constructive criticism, and this piece, serves great function. It's a mailbox holder, so it's not just a rock or an array of rocks. He did a pretty good job on the coloring and some of the other features, but to add realism, you need to add kind of difference of plane shifts and subtle different textures here and there, and maybe stay away from the rounded edges. The rounded edges are also found in geological rock features as well, but I think that when humans recreate it, it kind of loses its edge a little bit. Okay, so let me just jump into the demonstration. And again, this is more of a lecture more than a finished sketch rendering. Okay, I'm going to lower my pencil size. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first start by sketching in. Let me make a new layer here. We're going to start by sketching in the existing rock here. And I'm not going to be following to the T, but I want to just do kind of an overlay on how this thing was built. And I think that's going to help maybe identify, maybe some of the features that don't add realism. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with this shape. This comes up like this backside, something like that. Now let's construct the boulders, right? So he's got a boulder coming off like this, wraps around this side, right? Got that plane and that plane. Now, what's interesting is that this boulder comes along the back, wraps over this edge, and comes all the way to the front, right? And I want to say thanks to Bobby Baum for putting the courage out there to put out his work and open himself up to criticism. I think that's a huge step in the right direction for improving your work. As hard as it is sometimes as artists, we're really kind of we're very thoughtful in what we put out for the public to view. And sometimes some make the cut, sometimes they don't. So, all right, so then we got this rock here. And he's got this little boulder coming off over here. Again, I'm not sketching it right to the T, but it kind of gives you an outline flow of how this thing is built. Right? We got grout line that comes down like this. Right? The stone's like that. Same thing here. We got it. This is a very dominant grout line. Right? Comes along the back. There's that stone. Then he's got this one like that. This one's kind of like this. Something like that. This comes up. And you can see while I'm sketching it, Maybe some of you have some stonemasonry in your background. Maybe you've put down some cultured stone. Maybe you're a seasoned carver and you know how to recreate this. You can kind of see by sketching this, I think it's showing some of the problems in the design work. As traditional stone is laid, it'd be very hard or impossible to lay stone like this, especially with junctions like this right here, that stone that runs right there. So you can see that being maybe unrealistic in the field if you were to do that traditionally with traditional goods. All right. And then he's got this little doodad stepped off over here. Right. Something like that. Maybe this steps out a little bit. All right, good enough. And I'm just going to throw in some shadow just to help see the form a little more. So let's see here. Right. Right. Let's get all this in shadow. Right. Throw some shadow in the grout lines, right? Quick and dirty, nothing crazy. A little bit of shadow here showing that undercut. Now you can kind of see the form coming to life now. The shadowing helps show the plane changes, right? This is more like a 90-degree. Okay, almost there. Guys, you can get the gist what's going on. Then maybe a little shadow right in here. A little bolder where it's separated right there, right at the top. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and rub in some texture here. Right. All right, good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to take this sketch, I'm going to scale it down and put it off to the side. Right? Close enough for who it's for right now. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to create another sketch, probably use this one. Then I'm going to overlay and try to draw in some plane changes, some interesting effects, and things that I kind of try to add into my rock work. So create a new layer. And just so you know, this program I'm using is Adobe Photoshop. I plan to do more videos showing how to use this interface as a design tool. And then hopefully we'll get there with that. So I'm going to start the sketch. Actually, I'm going to create a duplicate of this. Right, V. I'll move it up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lower the opacity a little bit, just like so. So now it's like a piece of tracing paper. I'm going to trace over the top of that. Okay. I'm going to try to keep this video to about 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in there. And then I'm going to post it. I hope to, maybe generate some new questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment field and we'll address them. And then maybe we'll do another video addressing those questions so we can kind of whittle this thing down and hit rock. Okay. Grab my brush. So first off, we got to ask ourselves, what is the form of this rock? The function. The function is it's a mailbox holder, right? So I'm going to draw in some couple of key things that we got to add, right? So this distance here, and this is where the rock is, right? And let's just say this is where the mailbox protrudes from. Somewhere in this zone, right? It's going to protrude out. You guys can see that. So we know we don't want the rock. I'm going to change colors here. We definitely know we don't want the rock kicking out like this. Because then this distance now, from here to here, is messing up that function. It's going to take the mailbox guy, you know, farther to reach to put the mail in, vice versa. It's just not, it's not good form. A lot of times these are kind of butted up to like a sidewalk. All right. And I actually have some images here. Let me see if I can bring up some. All right. Here's image number one. Nothing really super sexy here, but what we're looking at is high in functionality, right? It's got an address number built into that. Okay. It is backed off. It's not right on the edge of the landscape. In this distance here, I'm going to kind of maybe grab that red. So this distance right here, he's got a little bit of mulch. You know, a lot of times that's right up on the sidewalk. That could be the sidewalk. So even though he's plumb here, because this is more of an architectural look, super important to know is when you're doing this with rock as well. So which way are you tipping it? Is it tipped out or is it tipped in? I'd rather have it tipped out. I think I have an example of that. So this was an interesting find on the internet. I love the color. I mean, you can see some of that Samsonite yellow kind of jazzed up in there. He's also got a house number on there, indicated by 44. You know, those could be just some casted numbers, all right, and then epoxied on. So there's one, you know, different way of skinning that cat. And then secondly, look at the distance. Let me draw on here. So this is way out. He's got all this negative space in here for functionality. Very cool design. All right. Let's jump back to the sketch. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but you have to be cognizant and know about the functionality of the piece that you're creating. All right. Delete that layer. Let's get into the sketch. Back to black here. All right. So let's start at the bottom. We start at the bottom because that's the footprint. That's how you kind of build it anyway. Foam core or rebar and steel armature. Right? Now I'm going to tip this thing back a little bit. Just a little bit. Could be somewhat plumb. I'm going to follow the same outer perimeter profile that he's got. But I'm going to add some sharpness to this. You kind of see already. And then maybe here, a little bit of a big cleft that happened. Something like that, you know. Then maybe this edge, I'm going to just take that still same geometry that he's got built. And I'm just going to run that up. Flatten the top off a little bit. Add some chisel features to that. So you can really see already just by not adding all these different stones, how they're kind of morphed together. And some of the angles on those stones are very snaky, a little bit of radiusing going on. It does happen in stone. In fact, we'll go through some more reference here. But all I'm trying to do is create subtle plane changes in this. So this is a straight line, that's a straight line, this is a straight line. I'm trying to stay away from things like this. Any type of radiusing. Because then that's going to make your work look soft inherently. Okay. And, you know, just to help fortify this concept, I'm going to turn these layers off. I'm going to take this photo here. I'm going to make it slightly bigger. I'm going to turn the opacity down on it. And then I am going to sketch over the top of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add contour lines to this. I'm going to change my marker to red. Okay, so let's do it. So we've got this perimeter, right? You see the straight line, see it's soft. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw contour lines wrapping this. If I was gonna wrap this in twine, what would it look like? I'm just gonna do a quick little, you did add a nice, nice cleft right in here. That's pretty nice. I like that. Come around, right? You can see what's going on, right? So forth and so on. Let's wrap these. So these contour lines are helping me visually communicate the plane changes in this piece, right? This comes down. He did, some nice sharp edging here. So there are some things to build upon. That grout line gets returned in. Same thing here. So add those contour lines. It's helping you see this form. You got an undercut. Let's wrap this up, right? Then same thing. This stone kind of wraps around, right? Okay. There, almost done, guys. A little bit painful, maybe a little bit could be boring watching this, but I think it's important because it's going to open your eyes to how do you want to handle these plane changes. It's one thing to say, hey, we'll make the rock sharper and call it a day, but how? How are you going to do that? And I think this exercise really gets the mind thinking of what are your planes? Right? Just put some verticals in here. Right? You really start to see the form in this now. These go like this. Okay, you really can see what's going on here now. All right, if I take this picture off, it still reads, you can kind of see what's going on there. All right. I thought that was really handy because then when you build your new rock, whether it be foam or sketching or you're doing clay, this is going to help you with those mental gymnastics. So let's go back to our sketch. That's kind of what we got roughed in. I'm going to bring this to the forefront now. All right. Good enough. Let me erase this. Okay. Done with that. All right. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Something like that. Now, I'm the same thing. I'm going to do some quick contour lines on this in red to help fortify that concept. Make a new layer here. Okay. Oh, where's the tool? There we go. Okay. This comes in like this. This comes in there. It turns back. You can kind of see I'm not real lumpy. Now, this isn't a stacked stone, so I get it. But if you wanted to do a monolith and keep the edges sharp, this would be a good little practice sheet to maybe sketch out, even in your head, even if you're not, really skilled with the pencil or really good at art. I don't think it takes a whole lot of talent to build these contour drawings. What they do take is some practice, though, and some basic understanding. You can see that wire grid has already helped shaping the form on that. If I add a little bit of shadow to here. Furthermore, you can see it adds some form to that, right? Maybe there's just a little in there. Good enough. So more of a monolith style, but if you start bending and pulling those contour lines a little bit here and there, it's going to get those subtle plane changes, as I alluded in the message in the Facebook group. Let me show you a demonstration now. Go ahead and take this. I'm going to erase out some of that wire gridding that we put in, And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change it ever so subtle. You know, maybe there's a little bit of a bump out right there. Now watch what happens. And we can lower this down a little bit if it's clashing with seeing the plane changes. So this could be in shadow now. You could have a cleft there. So one way of adding some sharp geometry to it, if you wanted a cleft there, I probably wouldn't put it so horizontal. I'd probably put more on an angle like that. You know, maybe something like this. Just have to play around with it. What's cool about with the foam, you can keep subtracting. A word to the wise on the foam, don't chop it up too much and get your piece looking totally too chiseled, because then you're going to create more work in the mud stage. Hoping to plan to do some more comprehensive videos on that to explain that process a little better. But for now, I'm hopefully this getting the point across. Okay. And this is cut back, showing that indentation. Pay attention to the bottom side as well. What is that doing? Let's go back to our reference here. Turn these off. Turn this back on. Okay. We're looking at a round edge, right? Let's make a new layer. So this edge is doing this. Let me see if I can throw some paint on here. And then I'll paint in maybe a sharper edge. Right, so let's just throw in some paint here, just show you what that looks like. You can see already, just by doing that, I'm getting a more sharper look. That's because this light source is coming in from over here. It's lighting this side and putting this in shadow. And I'm just going to just ride this up. Okay. Let's go ahead and blend this out now. Get rid of that. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and fudge in another color there. And I'm going to get rid of these grout joints just for the sake of this video. Just going to do a quick wash on here real quick. Again, the purpose of this demo is not really to sketch. I think the next one we should do a finished one, showing you maybe a stacked stone and a monolith. Right. Throwing some shadow here now. Right, there we go. And then let's do the front. Just something like that. So anyway, while I'm coloring this in, hope everybody had a good weekend. Was planning on doing this over the weekend, but as always, schedule just got mucked up a little bit. Had some rain out here, North Carolina. Yeah, I'm gonna just sharpen that up. See that little swoop? Critical, super critical. Let me turn to the red and make sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Right here, this swoop right here. See that? It happens in geology all the time, but we're going to go ahead and sharpen that up. All right. Put this color again here. Oop. Still got the cherry red. Sharpen that up a little bit. The same thing here. And all I'm doing is coloring over this to just try to help show the plane changes and whatnot. Get rid of these grout lines for now. You can start to probably see this thing starting to take on a much more massier look. All right, and our edge is a little sharper. Same thing here. I'm going to clean this up. Get away from these radius lines. Radius lines just screams soft edges. This comes up. Okay. And getting close there. And then here, same thing. The top is so important. We're kind of, you can see we're still kind of rounded. I'm going to just sharpen that up. I was kind of trying to think of, you know, regular angles, 22.5s, 45s, anything close. Study your local geology, see what those angles are. Most of the time they're common. You'll see a lot of, you know, 22-degree kicks and sometimes 90s. Right, I'm going to switch to this color. Then we'll rock the shadow in. Sharpen this up over here. Almost there, guys. I know this is painful watching somebody color this in, but I don't know any other way to kind of communicate this. So, all right. Open this up a little bit, throw in some paint. And maybe this edge is kind of chewed up a little bit. And we'll come in here and really, you know, jazz that up. Okay, getting close. You can kind of see already, it kind of looks like a nice mass, and you can kind of see that this area, let me change to red here. This area right here got a nice little kick out. You see it's kind of tipping back a little bit. I think that's a pretty cool feature. And we don't have any really shadows in here. I didn't really kind of, with the marker or visually, come in and sketch that in. It's just communicating that way because the way it's tipping back. Okay. Back to the marker here. We'll finish this off. There we go. Just kind of defining that edge a little bit. Okay, same thing. Now I'm going to clean up this back side. Come in here. You know, give it that real sharp, jaggy look. Just color all of that in right there. I'm probably going to connect that. Looking better, right? I'm just going to get rid of this blotch for now. Kind of draw my eye a little bit. It's got that reddish brown look. Pretty cool color set though. Like the colors on that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, and this is more of a prelude for the next video, but what you could do here, since it's kind of, the shape is kind of corrected now, you could, turn this into a stacked stone look and give me a prelude for that. If you guys want to see that, not sure what you guys plan on to be building out there, but if we were going to do a stacked stone look, I'm going to turn the red. So now that this form is kind of square, you can come in here and start doing your stacked stone. Maybe this is like this. And that's a whole nother topic, because within the stacked stone look, you got so many different variables, right? You got dry stack, you got the grouted look. What type of stone is it? How do the edges, how did the mason, if a traditional mason would install that real stone, how would he install it? Would he use a chipping hammer? Would he cut it with a saw? Would he split wedge it? Those are the things you got to kind of ask yourself before, jumping into a project. What's the roadmap? And so doing these sketches really help. And a lot of this can be done in your mind. Just some of these mental walkthroughs are going to pay dividends on the back end on your work. Okay, back to the demonstration. So I'm just sketching in a dry stack look. It's crazy. Just staggering my joints. Maybe you got a big stone right here that comes off. Something like so. Really helping that shape. This one comes off. You remember, see, I'm trying to make sure I'm staggering. You don't want a situation where you're like this, and I got all these kind of lining up. You definitely just want to stay staggered. Where's that? Okay. Looking pretty, and this edge comes down like this. This little skinny one. And I think you get the gist. And then with all these, I'm going to show you a quick reference as we kind of conclude this demo. Let's see which one I have. Those are the monoliths. Those are pretty cool. See, there's the edge. See the edge on that? Even though it has radius, but within it, they are radius. There's kind of bad pixelization going on, so we really can't see it. But here's a good one. You see those edges are nice. Some radiusing going on. But for the most part, there's subtle plane changes. And this one's pretty plumb. I like this one a lot. Nice texture. I happen to like granite personally, so. And go back to the sketch. So that's pretty much it, guys. It just I think a lot of the problems up front is figuring out what you want to recreate. What kind of stone? How is it stacked? Is it dry stacked? Is it grouted? How is the stone cut? And what type of stone? That's going to help you shape your design so you can put forth a better, realistic piece of work. So hopefully this video was of help to you. Please leave comments in the description below. I want to hear them. And let's talk about what you want to shoot for the next video. All right, guys. Peace out. Catch you on the next one. Later.